It is the penultimate day to the weekend, and we are truly glad to have you join us. This is Enterprise Friday, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry. You may begin.
And I'm Choma Okohe.
All right, in a jiffy, we'll be going to our newspaper headlines to see all that we have for you this today, Friday, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. So while we get everything all sorted out for you, please do well to be part of our community. Have a say in what we say. We are at enterprisetvnews.com, and also like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. With us today in the studios to do justice to all that we have for newspaper headlines, that is. So we have Barrister Sofedi, a barrister, law and public affairs analyst, and still with us, Cyril Abaku, a journalist and public affairs commentator. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
All right, so let's kickstart today with the first daily. What do we have?
Yeah, we'll be starting with the Vanguard newspaper. The big story here: petrol price, LNPCL, Dangote in British horse trading. We have a few riders to that particular story now. Take it. Price negotiations meeting continues today. We will be guided by PIA in accepting any price. NNPC will, if they fail to buy from us, we export. That is coming from Dangote. Says depot owners have petitioned President Tinubu over diesel price.
All right, another good news. I do not know if we will see this as good news or same old, same old. I could always had FCDO letter. Nigeria signs the deal with UK, gets a 589 billion naira aid.
Okay, moving on. And the top strip of the Vanguard newspaper: federal government signs CTC practice direction to reduce cost of airline operations.
And also, 48 million Nigerians still practice open defecation, and that's coming from UNICEF.
And lastly, on the top strip of the Vanguard newspaper: 400 deported Nigerians arrive Abuja from UAE. Details are on page 9.
Yes, the details on page 9, but let's take a look at that a little deeper. We have it that a report by the Nigerian Television Authority, that is, said that deportees were received at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, by officials from the Office of the National Security Advisor in collaboration with the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, the National Emergency Management, and other relevant stakeholders. So, let's look at this. This is no good news.
It is not.
Obviously,
It is not.
It is not. But what does this mean for our image?
Oh, it means the worst, actually. Because for some time now, specifically on the bilateral corridor, Nigeria hasn't had the smoothest relationships with the UAE. And you remember that when the CBN failed to remit $850 million back to them, the airline, they cut off ties, aviation ties. It hasn't been very good, not least when the federal government ignominiously and rather unceremoniously announced that restriction has been lifted when it had not been lifted shortly after President Buhari came into office. So that even sort of made us look like, is this really a serious country? Now, all of these disputes are in the background, and this is deportation does not mean return. Deportation means that something happened.
They were arrested and
sent back, and that could be because of a diplomatic spat, or because those citizens have gone to portray us in bad light. Maybe they've broken the law there. Now the question is, how does our government feel when you have up to 500 people deported? That's quite a number.
Yeah.
And what will Nigeria do for them? Maybe they give them 10,000 naira to. That's even too much to pay transport back to them. Because if you notice very well, all the platforms that are reporting this story, other than that, they are citing the NTA. It appears they were not there. How come they were not there? Because when the South African thing happened, and I remember was to send these aeroplanes to go to bring people from South Africa, it was, in fact, I was on the verge of boarding a plane. It was everywhere. The media went there, everybody was at the airport waiting to receive them come to air it live. But this one, NTA is the one reporting. All the national data quoting the NTA. So something is not right there. Now, do you know what the federal government does? They will wrap, because receiving the deportees, curiously, was at the instance of Office of National Security Advice. I'm wondering what ONSA has got to do with receiving deportees. There are a lot of agencies. Before it was the Diaspora Commission that should take the lead. Abike Dabiri. Then you have all the agencies of trafficking in persons. I wonder what is the answers of his doing there. So Nigeria, it appears, would rather prepare a budget to receive returnees, broadly speaking, than to prevent them from. Because you see, the point is this: there's no first world country where its best citizens willingly pack their bags and work. Your best ought to be in your country, working as professionals, as academics, as the liberal class, as they call it generally, the thinking class. But when we keep on losing these people are mostly went to Dubai to do business, survive, they send money back home and so on. So when these people come back, what is the message? Is it that we look at it and say, we should have done better, and there are many more of them there. What can we do to make our own economy good for them to come and thrive here? But I suspect that we would rather save money in the budget for exigencies, so that we can be spending it in quote on people who could return to the country. The last one that came from where? South Africa only. They just give them SIM card. I don't know whether it was bread and sardine or something, just SIM card and something. And that was all.
Now we got it to drink.
And that was, we see how they treated those guys that came from, was it Dapchi? I couldn't believe it. One bottle of malt. If I say malt, it's generic, right? One bottle of malt.
Beverage.
And the other one, then sausage roll.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. Children that should have been taken into a psychological, to be deep, give them sausage roll and malt. And I was wondering, what can this do for this? So it's the same mentality we have.
They tell you how much they spent in that.
So I'm because how much have they spent to receive these people now? The news didn't come yesterday. Nigeria would have been informed that people are coming back to your country, maybe a week's notice, because they don't run the world the way we run Nigeria. The UAE is a highly organized. The UAE Dubai particularly is a place where the public service functions more efficiently than even foreign people like Apple and all these big companies from America and Europe.
Private sector.
The UAE civil service functions more efficiently.
We're even talking about a country. We're talking about the country in 1971 that was
a desert. So my concern, let's know. I know, thank God they are back. Some of us may even be our relatives. Mr. Federal Government, how much did you spend to receive? We didn't say pay the flight back to Nigeria. How much did you spend to receive them back to Nigeria? If you had the amount.
No, for deportation, it's the host country that take care of it.
To receive, I didn't say to receive. You didn't pay the flight now.
Yeah.
How much did you spend to just say welcome? NNPC, to go from NNP to NNPC, they spent 2 trillion naira. So I want to know.
It's a big work.
But the truth is, we're actually laughing over this, but it's actually not. It's a dance of shame.
What do you want us to say?
Now, Barrister Evans Sofili, 90 female, 310 male have been deported. And this is barely 3 months into when the UAE actually reviewed the ban they have over the country, Nigeria. Now, at this point, we sit to ask ourselves, because you are one good with international relations and you're a barrister. How would this affect both our business, our platform, and our economic lights with the United Arab Emirates?
Yes, it's putting us in bad light. Putting us in very bad light, both economically and socially. And it also reminds us of the fact that we have a dysfunctional system. Even though we are good trade partners with the Arab Emirates, we seem to be messing ourselves more up. Okay, if you're talking about 400 and something, that would mean like 2 aircrafts, or one heavy Airbus. You understand? That can, and it tells you that first the cost implication is on the country, the host country. These persons are either people who have overstayed their visa, overstayed their welcome, or people who have committed offenses, or just maybe random people. I know of a case of someone who had been trafficked there. She was arrested and she didn't even know what she was, she didn't know where they were taking her to, and she didn't know what she was going to do there. And that is what she told the authorities, and they bundled her and brought her back. So we've had this case. It's not only in the Arab Emirates. We also had issues from Italy to many other countries. There was a time Brazil even deported our citizens. Imagine. So what it means is that he talked about protecting people from going out. The only way you can do that is to make the economy green. But this is a government that shamefully celebrates diaspora remittance, which is a case of survival, which is a case of refugee resources. So you are celebrating it as part of your sub-mainstream economic glory. So, but the persons who have gone out are your professionals. They are the people you subsidize education for. Because education is subsidized in Nigeria. A lot of people don't know. University education is subsidized for the private public schools.
Up until now, with the student loan and everything, is it still subsidized?
It's subsidized. You know what it takes? It will cost you in the UK to train as a medical doctor or to train as a lawyer. It costs so much. I trained as a lawyer. Everything I paid as my fee is less than 30,000 naira. It happened nowhere in the world. Even if it happens in anywhere in the world at that level, you will see the corresponding tax implication. In France now, is free education from cradle to masters. But excuse me, you know how much the tax is? 40%.
Whoa.
That's why I'm saying subsidized. It's subsidized. So when you have human capital and then you are now blessed with intelligent people, so you are supposed to walk your country through in such a way that these people are able to get jobs, sustain the jobs, you pay them well. Not paying a doctor 5,000 naira as a hazard allowance. And you pay one non-entity that didn't go to school that became a senator. 20-something million naira per month. So when you do that, you create inequalities. And there's something about talent. When talent is not recognized, when talent is not valued, it will take a flight. Talent will always go to where it is rewarded. That is the standard all over. You understand? So these people will go to Dubai, maybe with a 2-week visa, and they will abscond. Some of them will go with the intention to return. But when they get there, they will not discover that all the while they have not been living. They just struck into life for the first time. They will abscond. So if we must keep our people at home, you see, the people left here are the ones who have decided that against all odds, they are going to stay back. That's the people left. Otherwise, and in the past 10 years, the number of persons that have left this country, including professionals, especially the IT space, the banks were almost collapsing because that space has been completely eroded. So how do we take our country back to its past glory? Is to ensure that we make it attractive. Take care of insecurity, take care of kidnapping and the rest of that. Wipe out these things, rejig the economy. It's not too much to ask for. We were there before in the 80s. We can always go back there. We can always, look at foreigners coming into the country in droves. This is even when our population has reduced. Our population has reduced really. But they are moving in because they still see opportunities.
But someone called them vulture investors. Asian.
Yes,
basically. We're not seeing European investors who truly understand.
These ones are extractive investors now. You know, our laws are very favorable to foreigners. There's what we call, you can repatriate 100% of your resources. If you go to a place like China to invest, you cannot repatriate more than 10% or 20%. That money must be running in the economy. But here, in our foreign participation, say you can repatriate. You understand? Over here, say we say, you can even have 4 directors that are white and 2 or 1 indigenous.
So you can call that ease of doing business.
Well, ease of doing business, but you are not. Your economy is not growing. It's growing by 0.0%.
Okay, but let me direct this question to Sarah Bako. Now, looking at the window for Nigerians that were just opened by the UAE, with this first leg, because this is the first leg, or should I say the first half, and they're already deporting 400. How long do you think they would keep the doors of the UAE open to Nigeria and they won't review the pact again?
No, the problem really is about you see, when a home country in this context is falling, Barrister used a word that, when the home country is not green, when you're desperate, when you're in need, when you're the one who is lacking. It's because when we say a country is, it's the people who are bearing that brunt. So we are the ones who are endangered. Okay, the US as a country is a very progressive society. They adopted a bit of American pragmatism and German idealism.
Even British.
Yes. So they essentially borrowed Western patterns and tried to indigenize it, and they've done a good job of it.
And suppress religion.
Yes. So what they are doing is that anywhere progress comes from, they will accept it. But when it comes mixed with what they don't want, they will select and send you back. So for them, it's not about whether the door is open or closed. If you have what they are looking for, they need you. But don't go there and mess things up. Now, if you're at the skilled workforce, okay, again, this is very easy to understand. These people who are skilled don't behave in certain ways. You know what I mean? One fundamental marker is that in the advanced world, Dubai and all these places, the police, it has been sort of integrated into that liberal skilled work. So the policeman is riding a brand new car, not Tokumbo, or a brand new car, and he says, "Hello, sir, you know, please come with us, sir." He will be calling you, sir. How does a policeman address you here? So these are some of the differences. Once you go there, automatically, it's a different one entirely. For, like I said, for them, as far as you have what they're looking for, you are welcome. But if you went down and took something else along with you, you know, Africans go to Dubai for all their cultural expos. I was once engaged somewhere where we needed to go to Dubai, and then they would also come here for some sort of cultural exchange. You needed to see how open they were. You needed to see how welcoming they were. But the problem is how does Nigeria even define itself? So it is how we look at ourselves. It is how we define ourselves. It is the value proposed here that our countrymen will take to anywhere they're going.
When they come here, you start to ask them for a gunja at the airport.
you know what I mean? Right. Yeah? So automatically, look, say, please hold on, if you indulge me. There's something called automation. Okay. The way you arrive at an airport and there's a direction, maybe you have a kind of anything you want to know, all you need to do is swipe, and everything, you know, you can just, you don't, at this our airport in Lagos, our airport in Lagos expired more than 30 years ago.
You mean the new one, because there's just limited one there.
None of them were made to flow with. They were not made with a futuristic mind. There's a Nigerian lady who is arguably the most traveled Nigerian. She's traveled everywhere. The lady said, so they asked her, which country is most common for you to travel to? She said, Lebanon. That once she gets to Lebanon, she does not need anybody. She can take care of herself. She can hire it. She does not even need an agent. You know, they are multilingual, multilingual. So she can hire a taxi. She can drive, you know, all by herself, view countryside, go to the hotel, check in. She does not need anybody to help or guide her. Do you know that this is our airport? If you book a flight to go to Port Harcourt, you have to ask which of the airport am I going to use? Is it MM1 or MM2? You're never sure where you're going to fly from. Then the last time my mother came to Lagos, I was to see her off to the airport. I couldn't believe. So after the airport we checked in, then they said we go that way. So I thought I was just going to escort her till we got to the place they will do the checks and stuff. I didn't believe that place they used some plywood to cover was the departure. And
that's the name of
the old one, the international one. We got to the place. It was when I saw that electronic, I don't know, that in the conveyor belt. I was like, I couldn't believe it. And it's like that till now. Minister Kemal is talking about remodeling the place. We are not a serious country. Well, I mean, I'm sorry I said, but it's a fact. When you meet people overseas, let me say this. If I was in Brussels today, let me say Brussels or Antwerp, or
I've been to Brussels.
Stockholm, you know, or what's the one for Norway? Any of these capitals in Europe. If I met somebody who is in his 70s and 60s, I'll tell him that my country used to have granite period. I know what to tell him. Because anybody who has been to Nigeria of recent will not have much good things to say. Anybody reading that coming up Nigeria. So when I meet people like that, I'll tell them my country is produced in Nobel laureate. We have what we call granite pyramids. If I was in Malaysia, I would say it was from my country who came to take palm oil seedlings to come out. But you see,
they know, they are aware.
So But what do we say to Love? If I met someone who flew to Lagos yesterday and he says, I went to your country and I was at the airport, you don't think I should quickly change that discussion? It is true.
Well, the only thing I would love to say the world know about Nigeria is Afrobeats entertainment, yeah, and Nollywood. So maybe
that's also valid. That's also valid. To that extent.
Yeah, very
but
good.
except that it's coming from private persons. The government is not responsible enough to. If you fly from JF Kennedy Airport in America, when you are, the moment you enter the Nigerian airspace, you will not. The plane will start to shake. You will know that you have entered the territory and all that. So it's not. Sometimes, at the risk of not demarketing our country, our government should spare us, some of these malfeasance. Allow us to flourish.
Very, very true. Of course, what we need, from all of these discussions, if you ask me, is an overhaul. But of course, it comes with the cost. And I do not know if we've got what it takes to take care of that cost. But let's get to the Guardian newspaper right about now. And the big story here says, Edo Goba, a fragile peace, deals stoke insecurity, apathy, and fears.
Okay, moving on the flooding issue. Allow dam repair costs 762 million naira in 12 years. 26 million before collapse.
And we have hackers intensify attacks on educational institutions for ransom, says the report.
Okay, moving on. Bandits block Zamfara highway, abduct travelers, kill soldiers. Details are on page 29.
And also below that, foreign patronage in equities dips by 73% in 8 years.
Okay, obtaining the Nigerian passport without tears. Details are on page 2.
Let's get to sports here. Of course, it made the front page of the Guardian newspaper. Beyond fame and fortune, why sports stars battle depression, poverty at career sunset. We have some of those Super Eagles stars, Yekini and so, who, of course, are amongst those that we have their images here. Now, we have very interesting stories here. I do not know which we can talk about, but if it's possible, I love that we maybe take 2 or 3 of them. But let's start with the Alao Dam repairs costing 762 million naira in 12 years, 26 million before collapse. Now, if you watched some of the viral videos, of course, it was represented in Hausa, and some of them were saying that the dam actually, the outlet from where it was supposed to go from, right, was still opened, but it overshot its boundary and, of course, broke a large sum of the place, and that was where it came into, Maiduguri itself. Now, talking about 762 million naira set aside as repair cost, and we still have such issue. Is it fair to say this is just nature, or is it
the volume of water was actually unusual, but the country should have been proactive enough to build what they call wedge. It's wedge they use in Netherlands, that no matter the intensity, if the water overrun its natural course, because the rain is heavy or there's a release of water and there's a mix, the volume, you need to do environmental scanning to test what wedge you will use that will stand the integrity of pressure. But that was not done. You just have the natural way of it. So when the water came, it broke everything, overran everything. Even if you have the channel that it goes through, the force of water is heavier than the space of that channel, it will overrun it. Okay? And one thing about flood is that flood carries a lot of things alongside. And those things will have capacity to destroy whatever you have in the surface. It brings in so many things.
The debris and everything.
Yeah, debris, even stone. See flood carrying cars, carrying iron, everything. The pressure is much. So that is why, as at yesterday night, the counting about 34, right? Or thereabout, dead. Yeah. You understand? So, this insecurity, thank God that what we have in our country is not natural disaster. Because ours is a human disaster, insurgency, Boko Haram. So in so many countries, half of their budget, they use to take care of natural disaster, which is also a case of insecurity.
So is it fair to say it's a balanced world where you do not have natural disasters, maybe it's meant to have human disasters.
No, you see, that natural disaster is nature itself working, playing out. Okay, so people have learned to live with it and curtail it. But where it is human disaster, that's self-inflicted. Because you have a choice to ensure that you prepare your citizens in a way that they will not become the nuisance. You ask yourself, why is it that the issue of bandits is still prevalent? Boko Haram is prevalent. All the sub-units of these criminal gangs are prevalent. We ask yourself, what is government doing about it? They're not doing much. Their focus is on protesters. So when you have that, you know that this thing is not going to go away any soon.
Very true.
Okay, thank you. Cyril, let's hear from you on this flooding Alao Dam. Can we really say they did the job, or they are just coming out to give excuses for the reason why the flooding in Maiduguri happened and there was loss of life?
I think that they are giving excuses. Ideally, given the fact that there was warning, and yet we had this scale and magnitude of damage and tragedy, it won't be too much to call for independent investigation, right? And it's simple. We've seen some of the countries that we're trying to ape or learn from. We see how they take these things very seriously. We see the sort of precautionary measures that people, in fact, the fact that this whole thing happened, that people, it happened to us like it would have happened to primitive man. Maiduguri and places like, I think, Jaraba, where you have the other dam, what's it called now? Mambila, which has been in perpetual construction, and they will not finish it, like the refineries. How is it that the flood still came this way and we were totally unprepared? I want to believe that when you look at your nature or your natural surroundings, there's a certain level. If you went to my hometown, you see a lot of canoes. We have a lot of swimming gear and things like that because it's our yes. So the people in Borno and those were they prepared? Was there any sort of awareness campaign? Was there any because this is an annual thing. It happened 30 years ago. Normally, I want to think maybe it shouldn't even happen again. The wedge he was talking about, was it built? You see where you know the truth. Go to University of Maiduguri. Go to the geology department. Carry 500 projects students have done at BSc, Masters, and PhD level. I see the recommendations. That's how you know that these people are not saying the truth, they are lying to us. I always say that Nigerian problems, they don't even have any need. It is not even society can be problem prone or problem free. Okay? But you know a problem when it comes because it had to come. Not because man allowed it to come. Do you know that Nigeria, when Lee and you came to UI, what was the complaint they made? They said, there are too many speakers in this country. You need to have a place where people are learning utilitarian. That's why they went to open Ife.
Everybody is talking.
That these people like you, and what did they produce? Achebe, Clark, Shoyinka, Okigbo. In one generation, they gave us Africa's best playwright, Africa's best novelist,
poet,
Africa's best poet to date.
The mathematician.
Chiko Bianco. These are people are doing to
even engineers.
No, I'll come to them. I mean, I can give you a long list of people. Say people like, do you know there's a man called Ben Obumselu? Arguably the most brilliant man Nigeria has produced, because at UI there was a problem. The lady got pregnant. In the course of trying to do away with the sub, she died. So he was arrested and taken to court. The judge said, "This man is guilty, but you are too brilliant to be put behind bars and set him free on account of his intellect." That happened in this country. That generation, people like those, it was but most of them are talkers. So they had to go and open, what's it called? Ife. Now, but you see, you have Ife, Ibadan, Unilag, Zaria, the first generation universities, and which other one again?
UNM.
Unical too was first generation.
Unical, Uniports, a lot. I think those are
second generation. Unijust, yes, second generation.
Now, all those places are very strong in social science tradition. Those first generation universities, that they are very strong on thought and the written word. And I'm wondering, how is it that more than 50, 60 years of social science research has not solved a single problem. And yet, Soludo was Central Bank governor with a first class in BSc, MSc. Yes, he was the best in his from BS to PhD. He was VC's best student. Omamori, there are so many of them like that. Why is it that all of our writing and thinking has not translated into social transformation? Rather, we've been losing value consistently over time. It shows you that the people who are supposed to be at the helms, they only talk money. They don't talk ideas. Have you observed it?
No, I think the system is at variance with those who have gone through training, because these same persons who are in Nigeria with the same training, when they go abroad, they unleash potential. So something must be wrong somewhere in between the system and the human person, the human capital, because there's a disjoint somewhere between who we have become and who the man that these universities train.